Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333 and welcome back to Hard to Find 4, the New Order, Last Days of Europe, as the Greater German Reich. Now, in the last video, we dealt with our final issues in the East and reestablished our hegemony. We're also more or less finished up with our economic issues, so we gotta figure out what exactly we want to do. I say, because one of the really nice things that happened in the last video is that the Reich is strongly reformist now. We have a very reformist social outlook. And our stability is fucking nuts right now. Holy shit. You have no idea how much I would have killed to have it like this, consistently, throughout the game. But it's great. And I am very happy. And, yeah. Just readying up to figure out what we're going to do. I think we'll work down with the, we'll finish up the Ukraine path. Because we actually won't take a stab at it this time. Which is very nice. Then we'll work on the finishing touches of the Ukraine. And then we'll get to a moment in time. So let's start with Rada. The reformist clique in the Nazi Party is quite happy about these recent changes. Not only is the Rada serving to be a stabilizing force in Ukraine, they are also actively reaching out to minority Ukrainian groups outside of their proper borders, asking for them to recognize that this government is what shall represent their homeland. Volodymyr himself seems preoccupied with the thought of serving loyally to the Reich, and not the Führer himself. A strange decision, but something worth dealing with now. But not something worth dealing with now, I should say. There we go. Well, so far, so good. The Rada has been dealt with, and who do we can infiltrate? Thailand, America, Burgundy. Crimea down there. Let's get working on stuff. We can't even invade Burgundy until we get a 75% mission success percentage. So I won't do that quite yet, but I'm going to check my economy real quick. Annual deficit. Let's increase our GDP. Not what I want to see. Not gonna lie. But, we'll take it. We had some growth. Stayed rough, very roughly out of all of it, so I'll take it right now. Let's resurrect the Ukrainian academia. The world of Ukrainian intelligentsia was a rich one before the Second World War, where it was destroyed in the titanic conflict between two opposing powers, as well as the occupation that forced disaster on the people of Ukraine. Now, however, the effects are beginning to reverse, as the scattered remnants of the Ukrainian intelligentsia are beginning to return, tempted by offers of the Rada and the Gang of Four, the latter of which are particularly happy about the development. Well, let's do with that, then. And I'm more or less convinced that we have lost with the kingdom, though I certainly will keep trying, even if it might be a complete loss. Because, you know, what else am I supposed to do with this political power? I don't know. Do you guys know? No? That's what I thought. Oh yeah, for now, I think we more or less have this in the game, knock on wood. We'll have to wait and see, though. Because anything can change. Victor Lutsenko held the letter in his hands tightly. He was an older gentleman, so his hands shook a little as he did so, but he could make out the letters clearly. This morning he had received an envelope from a shockingly friendly German, who he had assumed to be a man from the government, saying that he'd been given a generous offer by the Rada. Whatever that generous offer was, he wasn't keen on accepting it. It was nice to simply live peacefully in his home with his wife while his two sons were out and about, but he decided not to discard the letter immediately. Dear Victor Lutsenko, it's come to our attention that you have been regarded as a prolific maths professor. Oh. Your former working residence was the Taras Shevchenko University, which was demolished in an accidental artillery fire during the Second World War. However, the university is undergoing a massive reconstruction project that will be authentic to regional, and we will need employees for when it opens. His gaze narrowed. We wish to re-employ you at the university for just a tight salary of... That much? He could feed his entire family with that money. Though we'll make it clear that some of your co-workers shall be of German background. We hope that you do not discriminate. Victor felt disgust rise in his throat, but the offer was so tempting. Perhaps, he'll admit to himself, constantly being home could get boring. He always enjoyed teaching mathematics, interacting with the children, drawing out various formulas, both simple and meticulous on the green board. The longer he thought about it, the more he felt accepting the letter. By midnight, he was already drawing up lessons in his head. We'll go back in the West. While the conservatives would be disgusted by such an action, it's nonetheless occurring. The German intelligentsia is beginning to mix with the renewed Ukrainian one. And the results are already showing. Information is being passed back and forth. And it is expected that our academia will be all the better for it. So long as the more pro-superiority elements of the Nazi Party keep their noses turned up and their mouths quiet. Oh yeah. Because as we all know, German Nazis are known for their restraint and quietness. Oh, they're catching up. We'll see what happens with the security attachments. It's been many years since German wives have been carrying full bags of groceries home. So long, in fact, the sight of such made headline news across the Reich. In homes throughout Germany, families have been busying themselves clearing out unused cupboards to make room for a week's worth of food. Once a purse full of marks would barely feed one person for a day, let alone 5. Now the same amount of money can feed a family for a fortnight or more. One has yet to hear parents scolding their children for overstuffing themselves, given that activity has quickly become a favorite pastime of the long-deprived German masses. Food is not the only thing Germans find themselves truly enjoying once more. Electronics, cars, and luxury goods have all become much more affordable. Many a household has recently been graced with a new television, while pedestrian congestion has greatly eased as the number of citizens owning private transportation has increased massively. Petrol companies in particular are quite pleased with this development. Businesses, big and small, are finally returning a profit. Some semblance of prosperity is returning to the least devastated parts of the Reich. This upturn must not be overstated, however, as Erhard consistently reminds the Führer. While many citizens have risen above the poverty line, many more remain beneath it, lacking the means to actually benefit from the renewed Reichsmark. Charity can only achieve so much, and there remains so much to do if Speer hopes to elevate the working class from their depression, but it's a start. I wish someone would elevate me out of my depression, but, you know. What can you do, I guess? What do we want to invest in? I'll wait until we get the research. I might actually just go for, the Crimea mission. I'm not sure what happens if it fails, but it's worth a shot. And then what do we got here? I don't think that changed at all. I think if anything, that increased their influence. Huh. Unless we do something, they got England next month. But we're back in the West. Now let's do the finishing touches. Ukraine has gotten through its worst period of instability yet, and it can be safely said that it can now, as a territory, return the Ionites back proper. One of our biggest problems have now been solved, and this has been hailed as by many as a triumph of Germany over the East once more. The remnants of the old regime will be scrubbed out, and so the new one shall rise, loyal to Germany. While with the frontier beginning to settle down in peace, we can turn our attention elsewhere. Namely, back to good old Germania. Is Cheetah going to win or lose? I can't tell. It might be Siberia. It might be Siberia. I cannot tell who wins. But it might be Cheetah. They waited for the fear in the conference room. Speer gave a sigh, walking down the corridor, feeling reluctant about talking over the proposed draft reduction. He wanted to enjoy some coffee later in the morning. At least it'd help him bear with today. Speer came into the room, drawing his cabinet and high command to stand and welcome them. My Führer! The security minister sharply saluted him. After Speer returned the salute and sat down with him, the Prussian rose to speak. My Führer, I must raise the matter of lowering the draft to 1 year, and I must ask that it be decided on now. Speer blinked. Was that a demand? I can see that, von Tresckow, but I understand, my Führer, but we can't keep putting people into the ranks for too long. Having too many in the army will erode our professional corps. We must lower the draft soon. Speer sighed and raised his hands up to his chest in frustration. His cup was waiting for him, with steam rising from coffee. I can see that, but can you please let me know, my Führer? I must insist, the Prussian said, stepping in his way, that we not delay. If we keep dodging the issue, this will affect our army terribly over time. Alright, fuck off. Just let me have my coffee, please. Please. Separating a man from his coffee, that is a dangerous path to go on down. But we got the finishing touches down. Our stability has not gone up. Perhaps it's regime stability. It is not regime stability, so that 10 stab was fucking useless. But hey, it's all just a moment in time. The current judicial inquiries and trials are winding down now that the worst offenders have been dealt with. The Führer's position is much more secure now. There are still dissidents, factions, and secret societies to deal with, but nothing serious for the moment. Better still, Erhard's economic reforms and Schmidt's diplomatic tour have both been resounding successes for the Reich. Despite being in office only a short time, Speer has already proven his worthiness to rule a dozen times over. Now there's a matter of a Nazi party. Even after our extensive investigations of the party, it remains the largest power bloc in the Reich politics. Tempting as it might be to simply wipe out this old pack of useless sycophants and stubborn old fighters, we must accept their existence for the time being. Only a minority of the party supports Speer in any capacity, so we must navigate this obstacle with care. Their connections run wide and deep in the Reich, and the last thing we want is another civil war. Or do we? That's the real question. Just as Speer reluctantly agreed to Tresckow's point, someone rose up, pushing their away their chair noisily. It was Schorner, and he was not pleased. Tresckow, are you mad? You can't possibly... I already have. The Führer has given his approval, Tresckow stated flatly to him. Speer shook his head, and Schorner gritted his teeth and shook his head. Then he turned to Speer. My Führer, he said with a salute. When he let his hand down, he said, I must encourage you to repeal it. They cannot lower the draft now. It would weaken our army. Tresckow turned to Speer and told him, No, my Führer, lowering the draft will help the army. It will not, von Tresckow. The army needs more men at the moment. Our fatherland needs more men. For what? We are not in need of great manpower now. That doesn't matter. We must maintain our numbers, Schorner told him. He glanced back at his Führer. My Führer, I must insist against it. That's my Schorner voice. What do you guys think? You're suggesting that now? I just approved it, Speer replied, hoping it would discourage him. It will be difficult, but it's a small price to pay than having to put up with a loss of strength in numbers. That is something we cannot make up for in the quality of our men and our officers. We do not need a multitude of men. Alright, both of you have a point, Speer interrupted, seeking to put an end to this and get his cup of coffee. He sighed at them and said, I will not take my word back my word, Schorner. Do you realize the political power hit I will take from this? Mein Gott! You Gottverdammt sycophant. Let's see. Italy. Done goofed. Who was messaging me on Discord? I can't look right now on my computer. I'm recording, right? The decision was sealed. The lowering of a draft was realized. The Führer was understandably relieved to see that he could relax after all that had happened, despite his early reluctance. He enjoyed his cup of coffee, which he so wanted before, just as the rest of his cabinet enjoyed their victory in Singless Pass. Schmidt and Earhart both pulled out their cigarette and their cigar to quietly celebrate this victory for their partner in the army, much to the light displeasure of the Führer. Tresckow and Speidel respectfully gave their thanks to the Führer for keeping his word. It ended in their favor. It was only appropriate for them to give some credit to their leader, no matter how reluctant he was. Only Schorner fumed, unwilling to stand being in the same room as those who opposed him, and with a Führer who let him down. In a huff, he stormed out of the chancellery, much to the subtle joy of those who wished to spite him. And when news came to the German people about the lower draft, there was much reason for them to rejoice. Families and friends were happy to know that their sons would not have to give up a part of their lives to serve the fatherland. Although the conservative elements of the country eventually gave their protests against this new policy, there was nothing to stop the tide of joy that swept over the people. Onto a brighter future, indeed. Yeah, Italy's fucked. We have Romania. And I don't even think we had a medal round this time. But I'm guessing... Can we perhaps pressure them into the faction? Oi, Moggy! Each blitz in London. Well, I think we've lost the kingdom. I think. Got a moment of time. And now I believe... Yeah, we can choose between survival at all costs and all eyes on us. All eyes on us won't give us a stab at, and it's what we're going for anyway, so we might as well do it. To hell with the Nazi party. What do they matter next to the will of the people and their Führer? Who are they to question the mandate rightfully claimed that the Führer holds? Would they dare to question Hitler too, merely because they disagreed with him on a few trifling matters? It was the collective will of the German people that granted political dominance to the Führer, not the political backroom politickings of career politicians. More than that, the entire world is watching. Doubtless they are aware of our weakened and divided state, circling like vultures above the beleaguered Reich. Well, they shall soon see that our new Führer is no pale imitation of Hitler, but a true visionary and reformer. They shall see that Albert Speer, alone of all the aspiring leaders of Germany, is the man they should look to befriend and deter to. That works for me. Does that work for the economy? Holy crap, it does. We are making bank right now. Our deficit has gone down. I wondered, as I often did in those days, how history might regard me. Outwardly, and to the rest of the world's estimation, I would have no choice but to be remembered as the great liberal Führer. For weeks after the Civil War, I could look out the window of my office in the Reich Chancellery and see the crowds of well-wishers packing the plaza below. From my lofty perch, they appeared a great seething mass on the busiest day. Individuals melted away, assimilated into the great din of humanity. Unable to pick out their faces, I was aware in those moments that this was people power, made manifest. The same tides that had swept my predecessor into power and changed the face and fate of Germany forevermore. It was impressive, mighty, and utterly terrifying. They chanted my name, saluted my presence, and demanded of me things I could never be certain of delivering in those troubled days. My thoughts after those occasions invariably turned inwards. Far from the adulation of cheering crowds, within the very buildings I had designed for the glory of the Reich, the party was gathering strength. The post-war legal inquiry carried out by the Gestapo had sapped its strength, but it remained the largest power bloc in the Reich. The workers and disaffected youth might have outnumbered them 1,000-fold, but the party held power, second only to myself. If I wholeheartedly followed the lead of my cabinet and embraced the popular movement that claimed to have my full support, I would permanently alienate this pillar of stability for the Reich. On the other hand, moving too close to them might have undermined my popular support owing to their highly conservative agenda that I would need to adhere to. To admit the complexity of this situation, even in writing, is difficult, but I must preserve my words for prosperity, so that future generations will understand my choice. Perhaps it will be centuries before these words are seen, but no secret of this magnitude can be concealed forever. What shall I be? And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The million Reichsmark question. Which, if we're going with old German money, it's probably fucking worthless. We'll just keep increasing our influence. I don't know what else to do, honestly. What can we do in regards to here? Nothing. We're done. Alright. You're going down the EuroLeague path. They're doing token reforms. All eyes are on us. The People's Führer. The Führer is not a capricious autocrat exercising absolute control over the lives of his people. He is a man raised from amongst their number, giving a commission from the people to rule responsibly and do his utmost to ensure the good health and prosperity of the Volksgemeinschaft. He was once a simple architect from a middle-class family. He was not born into power, nor did he attain his position through dishonorable political machinations. Albert Speer represents all that is greatest in the German people, and that greatness is made possible by you, the noblest of races. Sounds good, doesn't it? The Führer, being unused to speech-making, has largely left the matter of propaganda to Kissinger. The internal politics of the Reich might be complex, but they don't concern the man in the street. What he and the tens of millions of his fellow Germans care about is knowing that their Führer loves, trusts, and respects them, that he will do their utmost to help them. Speer is resolved not to be remembered as an aloof, distant ruler. Instead, his legend will speak of a great man of the people, something that future generations will aspire to emulate. There we go. And soon enough, we'll be able to work on this. We gotta wait until, after we finish solidifying our reign, which I think is only a few focuses away, I want to say. Campaign is done. Oh, that is fucking beautiful. God damn. Look at how reformist our people are. I'm gonna charge some reactionaries with treason just to celebrate. Increase our influence. The People's Führer. Alright. And now it's Das Schwert the Sword of Damocles. That's it. As well as everything that has been going on, there's a catch. There's always a catch. Galen brings yet more concerning news to a Führer's desk. There is something else, something beyond mere seditious students and mutinous officers. A storm is brewing in the darkest corners and forgotten naves of the Reich. Even as the cloud of civil strife passes over the far horizon, shadows fall upon us once more. Whispers of something far more dangerous and destabilizing than a few protests have reached Galen's ears. As is a name, a single name, uttered in awe by the downtrodden and in fear by the mighty, a name that will shake the very foundation of the Reich and challenge what we all stand for. John Cena? I think it's like that. I didn't know John Cena was in the New Order universe. It's kind of based, not gonna lie. I'm wondering if something's gonna happen now that the U.S. is at 100% influence. I'm wondering if the fucking game's gonna crash. Right now, more. Okay, that didn't happen. Cheetah's not doing too hot. What is Samara up to? Oh, they're going after Onega. Okay. So we'll see what happens for that. Give your Eagles defeating Derelvanger. Speer felt a chill run down his spine as he read through the R&D report on underground movements in the Reich. Are you certain this is accurate, Gellin? He asked the R&D head. Some of these groups, I'm sure the Gestapo read them out root and stem 30 years ago. I'm positive, my Führer. It's likely that many junior members of such organizations were beneath the Gestapo's notice at the time. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept their beliefs in secret all these years. I trust you, Herr Gellin, but this just seems beyond belief. Look at... He paused for a moment, eyebrows rising. Anti-fascist action? Not really, that's... Hitler spared no expense in rooting out every known communist in Germany. You're telling they survived all the time? Gellin shook his head. No, my Führer. I believe that to be a copycat organization. If you still banned literature in the hands of dissident cells, I wouldn't be surprised if more radical members of the student movement have turned to Bolshevism for some inane reason. He almost spat the sentence out, not even bothering to hide his open disgust at such treason. Speer continued scanning the list. Then his breath caught, as his eyes did, on the final name listed. Reichsbanner Schwarz Rot Gold. Speer didn't recognize her name straight away, but something about it seemed... Of course. The SPD paramilitary, with its fluttering tricolor and bizarre mixture of military men and well-groomed politicians. Attached to the organization, its brief was a name, which for reasons well within Speer's understanding rattled him to the core. Spartacus? Speer looked up at Gellin, horrified comprehension drawn on his face. He knew his history well enough to understand. Do you mean to say that we've yet to determine the significance of that moniker, my Führer? It could be misdirection. However, yes, it is possible that it means exactly what it implies. One could have heard a pin drop in the Führer's office. Speer stuttered. But we're trying to... I know, my Führer, interrupted Gellin, grim face yet inscrutable. But our best efforts may not have been enough. They will come, and they will be millions. Rutrow. Well, we have literally nothing to do right now. Oh god, my fucking foot is falling asleep. This is not nice. So we have Antifa. We have the Social Democrats, led by Unbekannt. So we can do some more research. God, why did my fucking foot have to fall asleep right now? God damn it. What do we want to get working on? Maybe something that helps with research speed. That would be good. Let's get some spy satellites going. Why not? Alright. Donuts is a traitor to the Reich. No matter what any R&D agent may think, his refusal to return the rightful territory of Crimea back to German hands, as well as the fleet he stole during the Civil War, is an unacceptable crime. Speer has organized a two-pronged mission, the coarse resignation of the old admiral, and a coup of his military government. The R&D should make quick work of both. I'll wait a few days, just to let all that tick in. And there goes Western Russia. Gentlemen! A toast! Glasses clinked together as Erhard let out a chuckle. Then from the group of five, it was the most powerful Wehrwirtschaftsführer, Hermann Josef Abs, who spoke. "Say then, Herr Erhard," he began, cutting into his finely made steak. "The tides turn strongly, doesn't it? In just a few years short, we've gone from our old Führer to something fresh and exciting." Another, Friedrich Flick, the Wehrwirtschaftsführer of Daimler-Benz, shot him a glare, but Abs merely ignored it. "Oh," Erhard began, downing a shot glass. "I agree. I'd like a new direction. Now, if I may call to attention why I brought you all here in the first place." All eyes landed on Erhard, from Abs to Flick to a silent Elmund Geiselberg, the curious Ernst von Siemens. Seaman. As you're aware, the Speer administration will be doing a multitude of things, reforming the army, strengthening the economy, loosening up diplomacy, and maybe laxing a few laws of old here and there. That's all fair, well and good, but my personal interest lies in the problem that's faced Germany for decades. I'm sure you all know what it is. The air seemed to still around them. Gellenberg spoke first. "I will hazard a guess that, this is about the slaves," he bluntly stated, and Erhard's smile merely grew. "Aha! Correct, my friend. All of your companies—" Ab's steady supply of smoke from his cigar stopped. "Well, to make it easy to understand, they're going to be dismantled." The group collectively tensed up, and while Siemens was least tense, Flick seemed like he was on the verge of rage. "I knew I shouldn't have come here!" he shouted, kicking away his chair. I'm looking for someone to throw for dramatic effect, but I don't think my mic will pick it up. Kicking away his chair and standing up. "This folly of ruining my business! Erhard, I won't let you take a percentage of my workforce. Not when I have anything to say about it." Erhard took a single puff of his own cigar and crushed it into the tray. Leaning forward, he grinned, and the rest remained deathly quiet. As he spoke, "Trust me, you won't have the chance to." New options are available in the focus tree, and it's time to act upon our promises. Now that was fucking badass. I don't know about you guys. Ooh. So here we are. The state of the Reich. Ooh, wow. That's gonna take a big hit. Holy shit. 50% regime stab. The Wehrmacht problem. So we have the Wehrmacht tree. We'll behold the legions. Start reinforcing it here. This is where the division size limit's gonna start coming in. We'll only be able to have 50 troops total in our 50 divisions total in our army. I don't think width matters so much, but yeah, well, it's not gonna help. So we have the economy. We have some more futurist stuff, which can give us Netzram, which I think is basically Nazi internet. We have. I'll come to this in a second. We have our U.S. tree. Where we go ahead and talk. to the U.S. Go for New Reich. We have Italy. We can try to cool things out with them. We have Japan, who we can talk to a little bit and try to ease into supporting us. And then this is the big one. This is, I think this ties in right now to the GUI. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Zollverein. The Zollverein shows us the state of slavery in the Reich. Just how many slaves are how many. Our goal as Speer, before a certain time frame, is to liberate all these slaves, give the middle class a certain amount of power, and then dismantle the cartels of industry. Now, how do we do that? There are a couple ways we can do it. The first is we can do some middle-class investments. The less slaves there are, the better this works. And so that cuts that down a little bit. We can also see some corporate assets. But we'll need a... there are certain things that we can use to help make that easier. But we'll get to that. That costs a bunch of command power, and one thing I learned playing this game, we're gonna have to be very careful with how we use our command power. But tried getting rid of them in Norway. I thought we didn't have slaves in Norway. I thought that was a big deal, but I guess not. So it's been quite some time since we assumed power, but Speer still insists on doing things his way. It's worth entertaining him for now, especially since our positions isn't wholly secure yet. I realize I have to speak with the accent. Our illustrious Führer thinks that it's for bringing those damn gangsters into yet another meeting, as if it will help soothe their outrage at losing everything they've stolen in the past 30 years. I anticipate that this meeting will be a complete waste of time, but it's not significant enough to bother fighting Speer on. The corporations already know our plans are in direct opposition to their interests, so it's not giving them any ground. No matter what Abs or his cronies have to say, I can at least be sure that Speer will throw his weight behind me. I'll see those criminals laid low, or my name's not Ludwig Erhard. You can call me Maya. Oh, you just go ahead and bypass that. Wunderbar. Well, the eating event... about as one would expect. Much veiling and gnashing of the teeth, but nothing I haven't heard before. As brought up the legal challenges we'd faced in attempting to reform the corporations, just as I expected he would. Not sure the Führer had actually taken that into consideration. It's a good thing that he wasn't facing the vultures alone. The whole world truly run mad when men of the 20th century will declare a legal challenge against the abolition of slavery. If they want to play at legal games, I'm happy to oblige them. It's been far too long since antitrust was common parlance in the German corporate world. With the Führer's crowd behind it, the Kartellgesetz will be the sword to cut the Gordian knot of slavery and corporate dominance. No matter what it takes, I will see those economic monstrosities torn into 1,000 pieces. Wunderbar. Here, guys, we're gonna abolish slavery. We're doing it. Oh, we're bypassing a bunch of focuses. Okay. Across the Alps. What else? The State of the Reich. Yeah. Okay. Well, that cuts it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. If you like this video, go and leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more uploads every weekday. And so every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, anything of the sort, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any all feedback you kind folks might have for me. If you want to send a few bucks my way, I have a Patreon down below. You can check that out. Oh, I should start this. Oh yeah, we probably got this. Let's do it. I read all the comments I get and appreciate any all feedback you kind folks might have for me. If you want to send a few bucks my way, I have a Patreon down below. So if you can afford to, I'd appreciate it if you could check that out. if you want to go ahead and chat or play games or anything sort. I have a Discord, and if you want to watch me do this sort of stuff live, I have a Twitch you can check out. Random link below. Thank you as always for watching. My name has been Dogwood53, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.